With our character build guides, the devil is in the details.
It sounds like we're finally ready to do a character build guide about the man without fear, Daredevil for 5e D&D.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds.
Now let's close our eyes and blindsight our way into this build.
Alright, so the premise of this video is we're going to D&D-ize and make Daredevil as a character build guide. We may have even done Daredevil in the past. I don't quite remember or not. Early on in Nerdarchy, we D&D-ized a lot of fictional characters. And I feel like, especially like around the time when the Netflix series were coming out, we tackled a few.
But we didn't do the character build guide to show, what it would look like. Those older, videos did not have the progression. They don't have the accompanying things that go along with it.
Yeah, so the trick with this build was kind of to make a blind character that mimicked Daredevil's abilities and enhanced senses without actually just recreating the blind master character we made in the past, which I think we successfully did. That one was a bit different, which of course you can check that out as well. It's in the catalog, and you can go over to the DM's Guild and download the pay what you want version of that. Which, speaking of, if you're familiar with our character build guides, we are going to make that guide for this character build. We're going to put a link in the description over to the DM's Guild. It's pay what you want, pay $1, $1 million. It's pay what you want. And also, it's only fair to mention that we're going to be putting up the D&D Beyond character sheet, and they're going to be a sponsor for this video. So you can check out the level 20 progression and what that looks like over there. Power up your game with D&D Beyond.
But if you're looking for another way to help out the channel to keep making videos like this, as well as all the great content over on nerdarchy.com, why not come check us out on Patreon and support us over there?
As a special thank you, you'll receive 5e content for players and DMs alike. We're making all kinds of things over there. Magic items that we sometimes turn into print and play cards, drop-in encounters for your game, spells, feats, races, subclasses, you name it, we're probably making it over there. There's even a chance to game with Nerdarchy in our random monthly fan game. You can find a card up here, a link in the description, to a sample Patreon rewards that you can take a look at before you decide to support us over there or not.
All right, so now we're going to look at, creating Daredevil. We always break down the options as to, what it might be. Race options, I really don't think there's a huge amount here. For the most part, Daredevil is human. You could say, oh, well, if you're making the devil, you might want to look at Tiefling as well.
Yeah, I did consider like the Tiefling version, but also there's some things that we want to do, and actually making a character that is sight impaired is very difficult to make them functional if you actually want to have that disability, but also make them a playable class. So going variant human is a strong to contend with, because feats definitely help with a build like this.
Indeed. So next up, we look at class options.
For this one, for class options for Daredevil, Fighter, Paladin, Monk.
We got Ranger, we got Rogue, all of the kind of martial aspects that you're in control. Basically everything but Barbarian, I think, is what we're kind of looking at as an option to see what we might be able to extract from.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you wanted to really kind of stretch and reach, like, he's the devil of Hell's Kitchen. If you wanted to go Warlock and be like his patron is with Hell's Kitchen, the place. But, Daredevil really didn't have, like, magical abilities or things that would look like spell-like abilities.
Yeah, he's I punch it with my fist or smack it with my billy club.
Yeah, his whole thing is enhanced senses and being peak human.
Right. For the background options, there's a lot to Daredevil, so we wound up going with quite a number of options, and we'll pare it down from there. So we have Courtier, Guild Artisan, and Plaintiff.
Also, Sage, Investigator, and Faction Agent look like they have some appeal as well.
So when you start breaking these things down and trying to see, like, okay, well, what am I trying to get from where? There's a lot of moving pieces to make a very skilled-heavy character that Daredevil clearly has to be, as well as things that make sense for the flow of who this character winds up being.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Matt Murdock is an attorney. He's a lawyer, so a lawyer would be the perfect background, except for there isn't exactly a lawyer background. you know, or something, you know, of that nature. So we had to kind of look and see like, well, what is going to give us the skill sets that we kind of want for this character, and kind of leans into that.
So, you know, to me, I'm like, all right, he knows how to read people, even though he doesn't see. Like he's got, you know, moments where like, I can hear your heartbeat. I know that you're, you know, you're excited or you're afraid. Like, okay, great. That to me is insight. You know, he knows lore, so he has to know history, because that's
The laws.
That's the laws. That's where he goes. He needs to have perception, because that's, you know, that's gonna be his key thing. Like, so we've got all of these pieces that we know have to be there. But he's also super physical. So athletics and acrobatics are an absolute necessity. It's like, oh my God, how many things can we get into, you know, this little bucket of a character?
Superheroes are tough to make in D&D, that's for sure. 5e is probably like one of the easier versions to do it with, but it's still difficult.
So let's get into it. And we're going to start off, we're going to do our stats. So what do we got?
All right, for our physicals, we have a 10, 13, and 14.
So for our mentals, we're going to have an intelligence of 12, a wisdom of 13, and a charisma of 12. And we went with a point buy on this one, obviously. And that's because across the board, Matt Murdock is... You know,
exceptional.
He's going to be exceptional. He's going to be above the board for just about everything. So we're like, okay, well, he doesn't want to have any negatives, because he's got stats or skills that are going to apply to all of these things, and he's going to need everything. He needs his wits, and he's a, you know, a good-looking guy.
Well, yeah, just even being just an attorney in general, right? You have to be knowledgeable. As you mentioned, you have to be perceptive and have insight into the people you're either working with or working against. And also you have to be charismatic, because you have to be able to convince a jury of, you know, of either guilt or innocence, you know, whichever one applies. And then we also have, you know, that's just the Matt Murdock side of things. Then you have the Daredevil side of things, where he's super physical.
So, like we said, this is a tough nut to crack.
So with that, we're going to go into the race, and we went with very human for some of the reasons we mentioned earlier. We want to get alertness from that, and what else do we get?
We're going to go with persuasion. You know, right off, being a lawyer, we're going to need to be able to convince people that we know what's going on. We feel like the alert and persuasion was a good mix, because while we're not trained in perception yet, we get bonuses to both the things that are most important to that right at the start.
And also, if you're going with playing a Daredevil character and having them actually be sight impaired as well, you don't really get any of the negatives when someone's attacking you when you have alertness, and also you can't be surprised, and you get a bonus to initiative, all of which really speak to Daredevil's heightened senses. And we also had to take a language, so we just took Gnomish. We figure attorney, lawyer, metropolitan, so whoever would be, you know, in a city type setting, you'd probably be able to communicate and talk to.
So for our background, we're going to take Faction Agent. This is one that I don't think we really used before. And while the skills totally nail it, you know, we get insight, and then we get a mental, which we took history. We're going to get 2 languages. Again, taking the most common, so we took Dwarvish and Elvish. But it's the safe haven aspect of the background that we felt was most useful, because as a superhero, it's always good to have your hideaway place, and you know, that fit.
Also, Matt Murdock has worked in various forms of the legal system, right? From, I believe he's been a prosecutor, I believe he's been a public defender, and also a private attorney. So like, depending on when you're talking about for Daredevil, it could, you know, the faction could actually be like the city.
Right.
Now we're going to go with our class that we're going to start with. Stop! We have our second Kickstarter ready to go. Check the link in the description.
Add 250 magic item tarot card to your gaming resources right now.
Mageforge are magic items from our very own games and minds ready to use in your game.
So check it out, back it, follow it, whatever it is that you need to do.
And get on that list. Stay nerdy.
We're going to start off with fighter for our skills. We're going to take athletics and acrobatics. This is going to give us, you know, really round out, you know, the skills that we need right almost at moment 1. I think this is, you know, shaping up pretty well.
Yeah, this was really hard, because I know you went to go with rogue, which does make a lot of sense because of the skills. But really, like, we really wanted to delve into making this character functional and effective right from level 1. And also, if you want to lean into the character being sight impaired, That's hard to do in D&D because the blinded condition kind of sucks in the game, and it mechanically really penalizes you. But we're going to fix that because we're going to be able to take our fighting style and we're going to be able to take blind fighting. So when things are within 5 feet of us, we can kind of sense them. We know they're there, and we're not at disadvantage to attack.
Yeah, that works out really well. We're also going to be able to recover a little bit easier with our second wind. And, if you're familiar with the TV show and the movie, Daredevil's used to getting, beat up and getting back into the fight pretty quick.
So level 2, we're going to go with Monk because we want that unarmored defense as well as we want access to martial arts. We want this character to be effective even when they're unarmed. And also, at best, they're wearing leather armor, depending on what version of Daredevil you go with. In many versions, the early versions, he just had a suit. There was no armor involved.
Wearing a red t-shirt and another t-shirt tied across his face. So next up, we're going to continue our multi-classing trend, and we're going to go into Rogue. We're going to pick up Stealth, very useful. And then to kind of offset some of our, lower stats, we're going to get our Expertise. So we're going to put one of those into Athletics. The other we're going to put into Insight so that we really know our opponents.
We'll also get the normal things for being a rogue. We get sneak attack and thieves can't. So this also makes us more effective when we're unarmed. So next up we have our 4th level, and I think at 4th level it kind of ties the build together where at essence you've made a Daredevil-ish type character, and we're going to take Ranger, and we're going to do a couple things with this. We're going to go with some of the optional rules instead of the Ranger out of the PHB.
So with that, we're going to, as we said, we're going to go with Ranger. This is going to give us another new skill. For this, we're going to take Perception. And again, now we've got that extra skill. We're going to go with Deft Explorer. That's going to give us 2 more languages. So we're going to take Halfling, another more common skill. And then to kind of tie into the seedy underbelly of, clientele that he might be working with, I thought it'd be interesting to go Undercommon.
We're also going to get another Expertise from this level on Ranger, and we're going to go with Perception because, the Daredevil character is all about enhanced senses. And between blind fighting, alertness, and the expertises that we chosen, I feel like, we're really going to shine in those areas.
So this really does take off at level 4, that you've got everything that you really need to say, all right, I'm playing Daredevil, but from here, everything else is just going to continue to build upon, those particular abilities and make you even better than you already are. But at this level, we're also going to get Favored Foe. This, is the minor Hunter's Mark ability, useful, and it'll allow you to do that extra damage, in the fight.
It replaces Favored Enemy, and for this particular build, I think it works better. We're not really casting spells or stuff, so we don't have to worry about concentrating. So, just an extra D4 once around when we attack is going to be helpful. So we go to level 5, we're going to take another level of Fighter in order to get Action Surge and just make us a little bit tougher and a little bit more effective in combat.
We already know that Daredevil is a very fisticuff heavy character. And having Action Surge, it's good for everybody. But, when he decides to, get in there and just seriously punch, it's going to be helpful. Whether he needs to get some extra movement or just get some extra punches, it really works. From here, we're going to take 3 levels of Rogue. This is going to give us our Cunning action and allow us to do even more things with our bonus action. It's going to give us our Archetype, which we're going to go Thief. And then we're going to go to 4th to get our ASI, which we're going to put into Dex.
Yeah. And also, that archetype of Thief also gives us even more things that we can do with our bonus action. We can interact with an object. We can do Sleight of Hand. We can also use our Thieves tools. And then also we're going to get those thief abilities. I believe it's second story work, which makes us better at climbing and moving across buildings, which is very Daredevil-esque.
Indeed.
So now we're going to jump back into Monk, and we're going to take 4 levels in Monk to make us even better. We are going to get Key and unarmed movement so that we can we're even faster. And then we're going to get to take our monastic tradition, which we're going to take Way of the Open Hand. Of all of them, to me, that was the one that most seemed like Daredevil.
There was a little bit of a debate on, Open Hand versus Shadow and, the different things, because a lot of times Daredevil is operating at night. I thought Shadow might wind up working, but Dave put a pretty solid argument for Open Hand. So the open hand technique is the way we're going to go. We're also going to get deflect missiles, which, you know, I've seen Daredevil like knock things out of the air before. Totally makes sense for this character. We're going to get another ASI. This is going to go into Dex as we're kind of creeping that, you know, up towards 20 to really get that maxed out. But the thing that we're really looking for is when we get to level 5, this is going to give us our extra attack as well as stunning strike that, you know, there's times that Daredevil can ring your bell, and that's going to be one of them.
Also worth noting as well, especially in the earlier days of Daredevil, he used a billy club an awful lot. And being proficient in martial arts is going to make that a martial arts weapon for him as well. So he'll be able to use that effectively. We're going to round off Fighter with 2 more levels so we can get to the 4th level and get our ASI. But before that, we're going to get to take a subclass, a martial tradition, which we're going to take Champion for that improved crit range.
Now, the extra hit dice at a D10 is going to be useful. We know that Daredevil is incredibly martial, so this is very useful. But with all of the attacks between extra attack, flurry of blows, and action surge, you're going to have those increased chances of rolling those crits, and crits are always useful. So from here on out, we're just going to finish off with, you know, with Rogue. This is going to give us uncanny dodge. This is going to give us some more expertise, which we're looking at stealth and acrobatics. We're going to get some more ASIs, you know, finishing off Dex and increasing our wisdom.
We're going to get evasion and supreme sneak, all of which lend to the idea that Daredevil is a very capable character, can be very sneaky, but is also very durable, and you know, has survived things that most regular people should not.
So all in all, I think this is a really fabulous character, really, really good at, you know, portraying one aspect of the personality of, I'm going to be this very upfront lawyer person, and then, you know, at night, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get my justice one way or the other. And that's completely fitting with, you know, who is portrayed in the comics, the TV shows, and the movies.
Maybe some job security, beat them up, get them arrested, then defend them in court. Who knows? So now the question is, how do we use this character as the DM?
So this one, I think, is fairly straightforward. You know, perhaps you're looking to kind of bring, you know, DM justice down on the characters who are constantly subverting the law and getting away with it, whether it be murder hobos or something along those lines. They go to a city, they're causing a bunch of ruckus, and because they're so powerful, you know, they bribe judges or whatever, and he's like, oh no, I'm not having this. And you bring this character down as an NPC, you know, upon their heads. They've left the tavern, they think that, you know, everything's in great spirits, and they're like, nope, you will face justice for what you have done in my city.
Yeah, that works. Also, all great superhero team-ups generally start off with a fight between the heroes. So, you know, mistaking identity could work just as well. And then, or maybe, you know, the players, like, in the pursuit of doing something good, have to break some laws, so they kind of get caught in the act. So, you know, this vigilante type character doesn't know what's going on. They just know that they're breaking into another citizen's dwelling, so they seek to stop them. And then also, like, we had thought of this idea of, we have this city of Frosthaven in our own games that we use, and it is kind of like a dark and grim, gritty city, which, like, we instead of the Devil's Hell's Kitchen, we could definitely do the Devil of Frosthaven. Frosthaven has an extraordinary amount of tieflings in the population there. So, like, if we were to switch up the race and make it a tiefling instead of a human, right, that would work really well. And, you know, you could also take this NPC in another direction where, you know, you move away from the vigilante, and maybe they're not really a good person as well. And, like, we lean, you know, less into the dare, more into the devil aspect of the character. So we've got some cool ideas for that we're going to either be putting in in the character build guide for the NPC, but also one of the things that we will be doing is putting this character into a encounter in the style of our out-of-the-box encounters that we do, that you'll be able to check out.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of different ways that you could use this, depending upon how much you want to allow your imagination to kind of stretch into either the daring aspect or the devil aspect. It's a lot of fun.
Question is, would you use this character in your game as the NPC, or would you play this character in your game? Let us know down in the comments below.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those fun things like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and attune to that notification bell.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel. So, but you can't wait till then, no worries. We've got you covered. In the card up here, you can find the last character build guide we did for a superhero, the first Avenger.
So until next time, stay nerdy.